Yeah, this is Gillie Priest Revolutionary Radio, and I'm Gillie Priest. I was contacted recently by some of my listeners and subscribers, and I asked how comes I was missing action for such a long period of time. And the excuse is I was involved in a few months of Zoom program with the Bard College program. Bard College is one of the most longest established private colleges in New York State. And that Zoom program that I was involved in consisted of equipping me with re-entry programs, re-entry knowledge of how someone should navigate their way, let's say logistically, within society after being absent for such a long period of time, like myself. For those who have never been incarcerated for any lengthy period of time, you may be unfamiliar with the challenges that one faces upon re-entering society. How to do simple things like doing an interview for a job, accessing applications, renting apartments to those who need to rent somewhere to live, and so on and so forth. So the Zoom program I was involved in was to equip me with certain re-entry knowledge, which, though the Zoom program is geared towards students returning to society in the United States, I still agree to participate in it to get whatever derivative knowledge I may be able to apply in Jamaica, like for example, how to establish credit, how to establish a bank account, how to obtain identification, so on and so forth. But today, and over extended period of time, my desire was to do a program that deals with, that disseminate the information that surrounded my imprisonment for such a long period of time in the United States. And that knowledge that I'm going to disseminate to you, my listeners, was a knowledge that was published in my autobiography, Forged by Time. But I know that a lot of people will not be able to purchase this book, whether for economic reason or whatever other reason may prevent them from doing it. So my intention today is to impart with you in a summary fashion what led to my imprisonment. In 1979, either at the bottom of 1978 or the top of 1979, I returned to the United States. I've been traveling back and forth to the United States since I was a child, very young child. At that time, initially, I was going to school in Jamaica, and I used to vacation in the United States with my parents. When I went for an extended stay in the United States was while I was attending Marant Bay High School, that's out there in the parish of St. Thomas. I began attending Marant Bay High School, let's say somewhere around 1976, I believe. No, 1974. I think my last class I attended at Marant Bay High School was about 76. So anyway, I visited back and forth, and then sometime either late 1978 or early 1979, I went back to the United States. On a particular night, October 27, 1979, I was accosted by several New York City police officers and New York City housing police officers. At that time in New York State, you had different police departments for different government agencies. So for example, you had what was referred to as the transit police. They were police that was assigned to deal with the train, the buses, the underway, subways, and so on. We had the housing police. These were police officers that were assigned to like the projects. These are big buildings in Jamaica, you could say housing schemes. They were assigned to these housing schemes to prevent crimes from occurring in these buildings. So that's the New York City Housing Police Department. The New York City Police Department are those who do the everyday work within the city. They are assigned to the city in general, the highways and the byways, patrolling, preventing crimes, things of such nature. So at around, let me say about 7 p.m. October 27, 1979, I was visiting with my mother. At that time we were living at 13 West 121st Street in Manhattan. That's one on a little short back right next to the Marcus Garvey Park. So exiting the apartment, I went inside my car, and at that time 19 years old. Went inside my car. My mother came inside the car because I decided to take her to visit one of her longtime friends that she had from Jamaica, because when I went home to visit her that night, she looked really lonely. She was sitting in the house by herself. She wasn't even watching television. So I said to her, let me take you out. Let me take you to one of your friends' house, drop you off, then I will pick you up at the end of the evening. She said, okay. So we went downstairs, and I was about to turn the ignition in the car. The car immediately was surrounded by New York City police officers and New York City housing police officers. I was asked to exit the car, and upon exiting the car, I was placed up against it and searched. My first instinct was to believe that the officers were arresting me because they believed that the car was stolen. So the first utterance that came out of my mouth was, "This is not a stolen vehicle." The officer says, "Do you have a weapon?" I said, "No, officer, I do not have a weapon." Officer, "What is your name?" He said, "My name is Michael Aaron, which is my true birth name." The officers kept interrogating. They said, "Is not your name Michael Dunbar?" I said, "No, my name is not Michael Dunbar. I'm going to repeat. My name is Michael Aaron." My mother was then removed from the car, and the officer told my mother that I was not being arrested, but I was being detained for further questioning. And I was to be taken to the 25th precinct that's located in Manhattan. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with these labeling of police station, the common reference to police station in New York State at least are precincts. And the precincts are identified by number. The first precinct, the second precinct, the third precinct, the 40th precinct, the 47th precinct, whichever the number of that precinct may be. So they told my mother that I was being detained, and I will be taken to the 25th precinct, which is located a few blocks from where I was arrested. So my mother left and said, okay, she's going to take a taxi and visit with me at the 25th precinct. Instead of being taken to the 25th precinct, I was literally kidnapped and taken to the 47th or the 48th precinct in the county of Bronx. Now, I was arrested in Manhattan. I was taken to a separate county, which is the Bronx, and taken to, I believe, either the 47th or the 48th precinct. Again, I was interrogated as to my name. Their main concern was what was my real name. I kept insisting my name is Michael Aaron, and after a while they kept insisting no, that my true name was Michael Dunbar. I was interrogated at the precinct for 3 days before I was arrested by law. You see, there's a technical term that they throw around whether you're detained or you're being arrested. And even when you're detained, you cannot leave on your own free will. But those are the technical terms that they use in judicial proceeding, whether or not the person was detained or arrested. As I gained more knowledge of the arrest and the reason and circumstances of the arrest, they began questioning me about political activities in Jamaica. As the interrogation proceeded, the district attorney now office that levels the judicial charges against a person after being arrested became part of the investigation. And the basic allegation made against me was this: that my true name was Michael Dunbar, that in conspiracy and action with another individual by the name of Aston Thompson. Now this person, Aston Thompson, is a person that was popular, known in Jamaica as Bucky Marshall, and he was seen and taken to be a member of the Spangler Posses from downtown Kingston. This is a person I never had any interaction with in my entire life. However, the story is, according to the prosecutor and the police officer, that this person, Michael Dunbar, who they are trying to say I was, acting in concert with Aston Bucky Marshall Thompson, were involved in the selling of marijuana in the United States, that the proceedings obtained from the marijuana were used to purchase weapons, and that these weapons were then shipped to Jamaica and turned over to the People's National Party, the PNP, in order to fight the 1980 general election. Let me preface this by saying I was never ever involved in any violent political activities in Jamaica. At no time in my life. No violent political activities whatsoever. The allegation further developed like this: two individuals who were involved in bringing the weapons to Jamaica somehow misappropriated the weapons, and that an individual by the name of Winston Sparling. Winston Sparling was at that time the Member of Parliament representing Kingston 12 region, and that this Member of Parliament gave orders for the killing of the two individuals that misappropriated the weapons. It was further alleged that these two individuals were killed by Michael Dunbar and Aston Bucky Marshall Thompson. These are so-called facts and circumstances I had no knowledge of at that time, other than the allegation being made by the prosecutorial office. There was a preliminary hearing. Preliminary hearing is basically to determine the facts and circumstances that led to the arrest, to determine whether or not the police had probable cause to arrest me for the crimes. One of the evidence, or I should say so-called evidence, presented by the prosecutorial office to establish probable cause of arrest was a police report that was documented by, I don't remember the name, the number of the precinct from Queens. And this document verbatim basically said, Michael Dunbar, aka Gilligan, is known to be in the company of Aston Bucky Marshall Thompson, that they live in an apartment in Queens with 20 other individuals, that Michael Dunbar is known for walking with a shotgun under his coat. His pedigree description was 6'2", light skin, dreadlocks. That he was wanted in Jamaica for killing a police officer. This is the same individual that I was misidentified as Michael Dunbar, even though I am 5 feet 10, average complexion or dark complexion, was never involved in political violence in Jamaica, was never involved in the killing of any police officer in Jamaica. But that was the person I was arrested as. Later on, after the judge found that there was probable cause to arrest me, just based on that wild statement that was found in the police report, I was taken to trial. But before the trial proceeded, I was taken to see the head district attorney of the county. I was arrested at Bronx County. And you know, the head district attorney in every county, they do not try cases. They're the big dogs. They just give orders to the underling, which is known as the assistant district attorneys, to try cases. I was taken to see this guy. Shocking to me. Usually they don't take prisoners to see the head prosecutor for a county. When I went to meet with, when I met with the prosecutor, there was a representative from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. There was an individual, at that time New York City Police had a division that they referred to as the Jamaican desk. You see, coming up in the mid-70s, late 60s, mid-70s, the New York City police officers were not familiar with Jamaicans or how to deal with Jamaicans. So what they did was they established a special unit, and they used to contractually bring in auxiliary police from Jamaica. A lot of the famous officers from Jamaica at that era used to come to New York City and assist the New York City police in arresting, framing, apprehending, presenting evidence at trial against the Jamaican people. So this representative of the Jamaican desk was also at the meeting. The district attorney, the individual is assistant district attorney who was prosecuting my case, was also there. My so-called attorney was also there. And in a nutshell, this was the conversation. They say, Mr. Aaron, we are going to charge you with the murder of the 2 individuals who were allegedly killed for misappropriating weapons after the weapons were taken to Jamaica. However, in addition with trying a case, if you are convicted, which you will be convicted, you will be sentenced to 50 years to life. And if there was at that time a death sentence in New York State, we would have sought the death penalty for you. But I tell you what, Mr. Aaron, this is the language of the head district attorney. I tell you what, Mr. Aaron, if you cooperate with us, you could go home today. You could go home today. All you have to do is initial a statement that's basically said that the allegation being made is true, which is that myself and Aston Bucky Marshall Thompson were working in collusion with the People's National Party under the direction of the housing minister at that time, Winton Spalding, to ship weapons to Jamaica, that the weapons got misappropriated, and that's why these 2 individuals were killed. If you can initial a statement like that, you go home right now. Because to be honest with you, and this is the words of the district attorney, his name was Mario Merola. We are not after you. We need to do something about the violent political situation in Jamaica. And that was a euphemism in dealing with what they actually was trying to find a way was to attack the People's National Party in Jamaica for being involved in illegal transaction in the United States. So all I had to do was make a false statement, because in all actuality I had no knowledge of these allegations. I make those false allegations, initial that paper, and I would have walked out of prison. At that time I wasn't in prison, I was in jail. So let's say 2-3 months after I was arrested. So I let them know, no, I can't do that. I have no knowledge of those allegations. How could you be asking me to make allegations of something I have no knowledge of? They said, okay, if you want to play ball the hard way, we're going to play the hard way, because we know you are Michael Dunbar. I was subsequently taken to one trial. Remember now, I'm charged with 2 counts of murder, 2 separate counts of murder that occurred on 2 separate days according to their allegation. Now at that time in New York State, if you had multiple murders, in order to save resources, they would join all the various cases together and try them at one trial. My situation, they did not do that. They took me to the first trial, brought in false witnesses against me. Even people who claim, one individual who claimed he knew me as Michael Dunbar. When I was found guilty in that, I was sentenced to 25 years to life. Yeah? 25 years to life at the age of 19 years old. Then they brought me back to the district attorney office another day and said, you can now tell that we're not playing any games with you. You have dug your way into a hole for 25 years. Now you could save yourself another 25 years. Cooperate and sign this paper, make this allegation against the People's National Party in Jamaica. But sad to say, you're going to have to do that 25 years because you did not take the deal when the deal was offered. But I'm going to interject something and say something at this point before I continue. As a young child growing up in Jamaica, I had this disposition, and I believe I had this disposition from birth. The more you squeeze me, is the more stubborn I get. Yeah. The more you squeeze me, or the more you think you're squeezing me, is the more stubborn I get. So when they brought me back to the second meeting with the district attorney, and he said, listen, you already have 25 to life. Now you know we are serious. Are you going to sign these papers and implicate the Jamaican government? The only words I uttered was, yeah, well, I know I have no knowledge of what you are speaking. Let's begin the second trial. They brought in more false witnesses, more false evidence. At that time, they had assigned me a court-appointed attorney. These were attorneys that if a person is indigent, if a person cannot pay for their own attorney, the state gives you an attorney. Usually these attorneys works with the prosecutor to help you get convicted. So I came up with some funds and I hired a lawyer by the name of Iman Dexter from out of the county of Brooklyn. And the very first day when he showed up to represent me in court, the head district attorney, Mario Morola, came in the courtroom and summoned the lawyer into the judge's chamber. So the head district attorney, the lawyer that I just hired, and the judge were all in the judge's chamber for about 20 minutes. And when he came out, the lawyer, Iman Dexter, said to me, Mr. Aaron, what are you involved in? I said, what do you mean by that? He said, the district attorney, Mario Morola, just told him that he better get out of his county right now, or else. The lawyer packed up his paper in the courtroom and stepped out and walked out, and never seen him another day in my life. And then the very same attorney who they had assigned to me, who was working with the district attorney office to imprison me, was reimposed on the case. I was taken to the second trial and was given 20 to life. And then I was given 0 to 50. I'm just going to make the conversation a little more easy. I was given 15 more years for a weapon, and I was given a total of 60 years to life for 2 counts of murder I had no knowledge of at 19 years old, based solely upon the fact that I would not make false allegations against the Jamaican government, specifically the People's National Party, because at that time the 1980 election was coming to a bump. At that time when I got arrested, you know who was in the cells with me, waiting to go see the judge? Curly Locks from Rima was in that cell. The guy that they used to call Tom Sawyers, he has another name, I can't remember his other name right now. Tom Sawyers, Baskin from Tivoli Garden, was in the cell. That was when they had raided an apartment in New York State, one of them Vivian apartment, and about 30 people got arrested. All these individuals, that was when you get arrested, you are facing the put. They all went to see the judge and was given $1 bail so that immigration could pick them up. When I went to see the judge, I was given a bail of $50,000 US. At that time, $50,000 US sounded like $50 million US. So I was convicted. Kind of sat like a lamb, not knowing the language of the court. Because when you get in the judicial system in any country, they speak a different language, using Latin terms, judicial terms. These are not everyday terms that you hear on the streets in any country. So you just sit there and hope that the lawyer interprets. If you ask a question, what does something means? Anyway, 60 years. I fought my case on appeal, and I was able to get the sentence adjusted by getting rid of 15 years. So when I got convicted and given 60 years in prison in New York State, I got convicted as an individual by the name of Michael Dunbar, who in association with Ashton Bucky Marshall Thompson carried out the killings of 2 individuals based upon the instruction of the Jamaican government at the time, because they allegedly misappropriated weapons that were supposed to be issued to one political party, and the weapon was allegedly given to, sometimes they say the weapon was given to the opposition party, sometimes they say the weapon was given to police officers. I don't know which, they never made up their mind what the allegation was in terms of who the weapon was given to. Then I was on my own. I started to fight my case. Over the years, a total of 4, with the exception of the police officers that testified against me, 4 individuals testified against me falsely. 3 Jamaicans and 1 Puerto Rican. And over the years, all 3 Jamaicans notified the court that during the trial proceeding they lied on me, that they misidentified me, and they would like to be given the opportunity, there's a legal term, recant their statement, which basically means they were asking the court for the opportunity to re-enter the courthouse and to tell the truth this time. All of those 3 statements that were signed and notarized. In Jamaica you would say notarized by the Justice of the Peace. In the United States you say by the notary public. All 3 of those documents are exhibit in this book right here. So after my conviction, I was transported to a prison in upstate New York. And I spent all the years studying the law, attending school, studying the law, fighting my case, trying to prove my innocence. And like I said earlier, with the exception of me being able to get the sentence adjusted from 60 years to 45 years. I did every single day of that 45 years imprisoned in the United States of America, innocently and misidentified as a person who in fact I am not. I contacted the Jamaican government on various occasions to assist, to help prove my identity. I'm going to make reference to some exhibits, or you could use the term evidence, that's attached to the back of this book. I'm just going to walk you through it perfunctorily. In order for you to go through the evidence, you would have to obtain the book. I took my case to the Inter-American Court of Justice. This is an international organization whose members come from all the Latin countries in North, South, and Central America on the continent and the Caribbean nation, to which Jamaica is a signatory. And I filed my case with them. And they investigated my case, put that in quote, close quote quotation, for maybe 4, 5, 6 years. Then they gave me a lengthy decision. This is the decision that was issued from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights about my case. And this final decision that was issued by them was signed by the Chief of Staff of the Executive Secretariat, and it was also signatured by the Jamaican representative to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And it basically said in a nutshell that I'm seeking assistance in the wrong place. Even though I met all the required articles that was established under their law, they gave me no redress. Okay. After contacting various Jamaican governments, on several occasions they sent Jamaican consulate representative from New York State to visit me in the prison. On one occasion they came and took my fingerprint to verify whether or not I was Michael Dunbar, the alleged perpetrators in the killing of these two individuals that allegedly misappropriated weapons that belonged to the Jamaican government. After obtaining my fingerprint, I'm looking for the right page here. After obtaining my fingerprint, a letter came back from the Interpol office. Interpol office is the International Police Department that exists throughout the whole world. They also have an office right here in Jamaica. Right here is a letter from the Interpol in Jamaica. And it was signed by O.K. Clooney, and that officer was a very known police officer in Jamaica. And at that time, this reference letter is dated 1996. And at that time, Officer Clooney was the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Crime Chief, Interpol in Jamaica. And the letter was also signed by W.G. Grant, Detective, Sergeant Administrative, Interpol. And this letter basically was addressed to the Jamaican consulate. And it says, this has reference to your message of such a date concerning Michael Dunbar, date of birth 1 January 1st, 1961, which is not my date of birth, and your request for a photograph of subject. It says that this Dunbar, this is the person I was convicted as. Dunbar was incarcerated at the St. Catherine District Prison in 1985, from April 1985 to June 1985. It went on to further say, we were unsuccessful in locating his file, which may have been destroyed during the Hurricane Gilbert in 1988. Hence, we are not able to produce this evidence. Right there from Interpol, the Jamaican record. The person I was convicted as, sentenced and did 45 years. That individual was also incarcerated in Jamaica while I was incarcerated as that person in New York State. No, I'm not saying that this individual committed any crime in the United States. I'm saying I am not this individual. My responsibility is not to ever prove who commit a crime or who never commit a crime. My responsibility solely is what is my identity and my lack of involvement in any crime for which I was accused as this person. Now there's one other letter, and for those who are not familiar, my case was also published in the Jamaican paper, in the Jamaican Observer, where the facts and circumstances were laid out. Right there. And this paper was published in the Jamaican Observer, no, not in the Observer, in the Sunday Herald on 5/6/2001. I'm going to also reference some other individuals that were involved in the case. This is a letter dated February the 15th, 1984, and this was addressed to the court system from the Jamaican consulate in New York. This letter dated 1984 and was signed by Miss Y. Brandstraff, the Vice Consulate for Jamaica in New York City. And this letter basically states this. Further to our letter dated January 17, 1984, please be advised that we have been advised by the Criminal Investigative Branch in Jamaica that no police records have been issued in respect of Michael Aaron or Michael Dunbar. Neither is there any record of a request for the District Attorney Office in New York for a police certificate. We have requested your fingerprints and photographs from the authority to submit for verification. We have also requested whether or not immigration know the whereabouts of Leon Mincy. So this confirmed the part where my fingerprint was taken, sent to Jamaica. Then I already show you the part where Interpol is saying I'm not that individual. I'm going to go a little further. My case was also taken up by the Public Defender Office in Jamaica. And I'm going to try to find his name. The individual who was the head of the Public Defender Office at that time in Jamaica. His name was Mr. Earl Witter, the head of the Public Defender Office. And he spent years trying to assist me in proving my evidence, trying to prove my innocence by trying to galvanize the support of the Jamaican government more fully to be involved in trying to assist me with proving my innocence. Mr. Earl Witter not only tried to assist me on a personal level, but he contacted, and here you have for his letter dated April 23rd, 2008. April 23rd, 2008, from Mr. Earl Witter. He notified various individuals, included the Honorable Percival J. Pattison, who at that time was no longer Prime Minister of Jamaica, but he had his own consulting firm in New Kingston. He notified the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, who at that time, when he wrote to her, was leader of the opposition. He notified Ambassador Douglas Sanders, the permanent secretary. Miss Stacey and Bennett, the Attorney General at the Attorney General's chamber, and Mr. Lincoln Downer, Consulate General Office in New York State. It's all of them right there. And I must say, over the years, various Jamaican government tried to assist me. But because of elections and the change of government, whenever there was a change of government, there was not only no progress, but the case fell flat. And whenever a new government tries to get involved, they have to start all over. So I was kept on this hamster wheel. They kept spinning, I kept spinning, but wasn't covering any distance. The last letter I'm going to reference in this, see if I can locate it, is a letter that I received from former Prime Minister Mr. P.J. Patterson. And I would like to read that letter into the record being presented here to you today as a form of substantiation of my travels that I have been to. Here you have the letter that I received on January 2nd, 2008 from the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. That's his signature right there. And this is what it says. Dear Mr. Aaron, your letter of the 25th of November 2007 has only just received. I am indeed sorry to learn of the difficulties that you are undergoing due to mistaken identity, and have asked the Jamaican Consulate General in New York to arrange an urgent visit. I do not recall receiving any previous correspondence from you on the subject matter during my tenure as Prime Minister, hence my failure to respond. I note, however, that both the Attorney General's Department and the Public Defender are actively involved in the examination of your complaint. I expect to be kept abreast, and am therefore copying my response to you to the Consulate General, the Attorney General, and the Public Defender. Best wishes, yours sincerely, P.J. Patterson, President, ICE Consult. That was the name of his firm that was established in New Kingston. So there you have it. And all that knowledge of this, my facts and circumstances, are encapsulated in this book, Forged by Time, which I would really appreciate your support in this endeavor. Here I am now, 2024, after doing 45 years. I'm here in Jamaica. I've asked myself, looking back 45 years, did I make the right decision? Did I make the right decision? And every time I ask myself that questions, I reaffirm the very first decision I made. I made the right decision. I stood my ground. Should I have falsely accused the People's National Party, the Jamaican government, Mr. Ashton Bucky Marshall Thompson, should I have falsely accused these people that I had knowledge of involvement in any criminal activity which I had no knowledge of, just to prevent myself from going to prison for 45 years? Yeah, I made the right decision. Like they say, I bit the bullet. So the question comes down to now, am I owed anything Does the Jamaican government owes me anything for standing up as a man and establishing myself upon 4 squares of truth? In a nutshell, nah. They do not owe me anything. I existed upon my own character and still exist upon my own character. I do not regret spending 1 day in prison that was established upon the fact that I stood upon that truth. No, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I would never regret it. I would never look back and say I should have lied on someone or lied on some entity. I've seen people, I've seen Jamaicans. Let's narrow down this reasoning. I have seen youngsters from Jamaica, people with criminal reputation that covers the 4 squares of this country. And when them come New York and police put handcuff on them, trust me, not even a canary bird sing like them. Real talk, real man talk. Enough of them where you see out here, you fire them gun and go on with all type of them for them little thing where them involved in, enough little antics. See, as soon as the white police in America say hands up, the man go up so fast you can't even see when it left them side and touch the sky. Sometimes them literally I try to touch the sky. White man, if you tell him say don't reach so high, man. But now get back to this. Now me there Jamaica now. I have to deal with this reality now. And I come to stand upon certain truth and speak certain truth. And we will never run from the fact. Because this one the mistake where a lot of deportees make. Where I believe them make. It don't mean that it is a mistake on their part. It's just my belief. They run from the fact that they must in prison in the United States. Like some of them have shame. I guess some of them commit some heinous crime. Them deserve to be shamed. But me a one man with a 45 years. And anytime me meet with anybody, me make them know me do 45 years. And me make them know me innocent. And me make them know in so many words I stand on that square. I cannot run away from 45 years. So there you have it, brethren and sisters. The facts and the circumstances pertain to my imprisonment. I know that I'm in Jamaica. I have certain objectives that I am going to pursue. Both within the Rastafari community, within the civic community, and within the political community. Because wherever I reside, I have to be involved in my community. A lot of us, when we come back to this country, under whatever circumstances we return, sometimes the unnecessary violence make us even afraid to say good morning to somebody. Because it can be taken as an aggression. They might go and ask, what good about the morning? You know? And when me live, the aggression is 10 times higher than in the average community in a Kingston. But still, I'm not going to run from my community. I'm going to step in it. And I'm going to deal with the youth them. And I'm going to make myself available to them. And available to the community. And available to the community leaders. And what come, brethren. What come. But we all can't be afraid. We can't afraid of our own people so much. That all we do is cower down behind doors and bars. And that is not to take away from those that do that. I'm not here to take away from anyone. If that's how you feel. Because one thing with human being, you know, we do not indulge in anything that we don't have a need for. So that's why I don't really try to criticize people. Because whatever human being do, is because them feel them have a need to do it. Whether good, bad, or indifferent. But me there to say, me I go involve in my community. And me I go do the best me can for as long as I can. Me now go run from my community. Am I going to be cautious? Of course. Prudence calls for caution. But after you be as cautious as you can, be as protective of your life as you can, then if it happen, it happen, family. If it happen, family. Me now go make fear imprison me. Fear never imprison me in New York. Fear never imprison me 45 years in a prison. Me now go turn around and make fear imprison me anywhere in Jamaica. And me say this, we say this. You see, from me come back to Jamaica. Okay? I go in the heart of jungle. I go in the heart of Rima. I go in the heart of garden. I go in the heart of Painland. I go in the heart of Towile. I now make fear prevent me from going nowhere in Jamaica. Not carelessly. Not carelessly. But fear now will prevent me from going. And when me go in them zone, take my word for your family. Me meet with the good, the bad, and the indifferent to the extreme. Just think on what me just said to you. Me meet with the good, the bad, and the indifferent to the extreme pan all them through your cage and them. You can't get no more extreme with the man them when me meet. And you know why me able to do that? You see the 45 years when I stay in a prison in America, most of them I meet, you know. And if I don't meet them, I meet them family. And if I don't meet them, I meet them family, they meet my name. Because you hardly can go anywhere in Jamaica where a man never hear my name, GILLIE Priest, and can reference it back to the prison system in New York and how me treat them youth when them come through. And this is another braggadocious utterance come from me. Me conduct myself in the system a way where my respect up the family. Me not say everybody they love me. If God Almighty can't get everybody to love him, trust me can't get everybody to love me. But when me can come back to Jamaica and can go in at the heart of the whole of them places where a man know me, it speaks to my standing within my own community. So there you have it, brethren and sisters. The facts and circumstances surround my imprisonment. And the next time I man venture out and do a presentation on GILLIE Priest Revolutionary Radio, it going to be on a more relevant subject matter in terms of what is important to the people, what is important to the community. That me I go deal with. You know, so until next time, divine love and blessing to all my listeners and subscribers, and you have many more coming, man. And let me give a preface by saying this. Right now I'm in the process of trying to set up a 24/7-hour blog station. You understand? And whatever advice the brethren and sisters them can give me, I look forward to it. Because when it comes to technology, I have no knowledge in it. If it wasn't for my brethren in England, Jaboni, him a guide me all them time if I walk out here when it comes to technology. Him I equip me. Him a guide my vision in it. But me need others. Me need others to reach out to me and say, Priest, see some advice here. See some this here. See some that here. In terms of ideas. So, again, divine love and blessings to all my subscribers and listeners. Until next time, this is Gillie Priest of Revolutionary Radio. Thank you.